Okay, is there anyone in here who has not turned in chapter 1 test? Anyone? Everyone's got their test in? Okay, that's good. There are some stragglers out there. I want to get those in before we go over the test. Does everybody understand that? Okay, here's today's attendance. Pass it around, you know the drill. All right, so we're going to start chapter 2 today. And to get started on chapter 2, we need to talk about what a statement is, okay? Let me explain where we're going. At this point, you know the difference between an argument and a non-argument, and you know that there are inductive and deductive arguments and the different sorts, okay? The way we go about evaluating an argument depends on whether it's inductive or deductive, and we're going to be focusing on deductive arguments right now. And one of the things that we want to do is be able to determine whether or not the argument is valid in a mechanical way. Now, exactly what valid means, we haven't spelled out with any precision yet, but the first step to be able to get to checking for validity is to take a deductive argument and put it into symbolic notation. So that's what we're going to be working on in this chapter, converting ordinary English and ordinary English arguments into a symbolic notation so that we can check for validity in mechanical ways, okay? So the first thing we need to understand is what a statement is. A statement is any sentence or part thereof that is true or false, okay? A statement is any sentence or part thereof that is true or false, okay? So, for example, God exists, that's a sentence, and it's true or false, so God exists would be a statement. Does everybody understand that? But if I said, does God exist, I'm asking a question. Questions are not true or false in and of themselves, so they are not statements. Does everybody understand that? The answer to a question may be true or false, but a question itself is not true or false. Questions are not statements. Suggestions, like I suggest you go to church. Suggestions are neither true nor false. They can be good or bad suggestions. They're neither true or false, so they're not statements. Everybody understand that? Also, if I give you a command, like clean up your room now, it's neither true or false. I'm just ordering you to do something. Does everybody understand that? So commands are not statements in our particular sense. And if I hit my thumb with a hammer and I say, oh crap, that's an exclamation, exclamations are not true or false either. So those are not statements. Everybody understand that? So a statement is any sentence or part thereof that is true or false, okay? Now, and this is just about how we speak, so it's some nomenclature. If a statement is true, we say that its truth value is true, okay? So we talk about statements having truth values. If it's true, we say its truth value is true. And of course, if it's false, we say its truth value is false, okay? So if a statement is false, we say that its truth value is false. That's just the way that we talk about these things. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to just start showing you how we're going to translate into a symbolic notation by taking on some sentences. Okay. So our first sentence is going to be this: God exists. Now this is something that's true or false, okay? And so what we do is we pick a capital letter to represent God exists and all of its equivalents, okay? And we replace that with and we call this a statement constant. I'm going to pick G. And wherever G occurs in our symbolization, that is to represent God exists. Does everybody understand that? So God exists, if we were symbolizing it, just G, easy peasy, okay? Now, suppose we've got this. It is not the case that God exists. That sentence is true or false, but now notice that if we're looking for statements, this part within the sentence is true or false in and of itself. Everybody understand that? So we assign a statement constant to it, and we've already decided that G represents God exists, and there we have a God exists. So this part would be G. So partial translation would be this: it is not the case that G, okay? Now this, it is not the case that, is a logical operator. Okay, a logical operator, okay? And so now we're going to symbolize the logical operator. It is not the case that is the logical operator negation. Okay? And we symbolize negation by tilde, so it would be not G, and we would be done. Everybody understand that? Okay? It is not the case that. Okay. And now, a simple statement, or a statement is any sentence or part thereof that is true or false, okay? So what we can do is we can also talk about a complex statement is any sentence that has at least one statement constant and one logical operator. Okay, so this sentence, it is not the case that God exists, has a statement constant, and it has a logical operator, negation. So this would be a complex statement. Does everybody understand that? Okay. Now, I'm looking at page 19. There are different ways to express negation. There's the phrase, it is not the case that, not, or the prefix non can function as a negation, okay? Or it is false that, or the prefix un, right, can function as it is not the case that. Now, something to say here, and that is you do have some discretion when you're symbolizing. Suppose we come across Frank is a bachelor, okay? Frank is a bachelor, okay? We might just say, well, we're going to symbolize that as Frank. F, Frank is a bachelor, okay? But you might think of this as, it is not the case that Frank is married. Does everybody understand that? In which case, F would be Frank is married, and so you would have not Frank is married. Does everybody understand that? So you have some discretion about what you're going to assign as a statement constant, right? But once you've done that, if you decide F stands for Frank is married, you have to do that consistently from then on, wherever you see Frank. And if you say Frank is a bachelor, then you have to use F for Frank is a bachelor. You just have to be consistent. Now, I say you have some discretion. That's if you're out there doing this on your own, which I know you all will. But in all of the homework assignments and the tests, I'm going to assign the statement constants. I'm going to say use A equals blah, blah, blah. And so there will be no worry about whether we're negating a statement constant or it's just a statement constant. Does everybody understand that? Okay. All right. All right, so the next, let me erase some of this. It is not the case that God exists. Okay, suppose we come across this sentence. It is a statement because it's true or false that God exists and heaven exists. That's either true or it's false. But we realize that there's two simple statements within God exists and heaven exists. We've already decided we're going to use G for God exists, so G, and heaven exists. We need to pick some letter for that. Arbitrarily, I'm going to just pick H. Okay. Now, what we're left with is this and this is a logical operator, and we call this conjunction. So, and statements are conjunctions, okay? You heard the song, right? Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Hooking up, blah, blah, blah.